What is up, guys? It's Doo Poker here, back for another video. Today we're going to be doing some node locking, okay? So we're going to use MDA to node lock certain flop spots and turn spots, and then we're going to see how the solver reacts, okay? So what do I mean? Okay, well, we're going to take a classic spot here. We're going to be the button, and we're going to be facing a 3-bet from the small blind, okay? So let's put a board up, okay? So this is a very classic common spot, okay? So we're the button. We decide to call. The flop comes king of hearts, 5 of hearts, 4 of clubs, okay? Now we know from a solver it loves using all sorts of sizings, okay? I have a separate video on how to split sizings, which will go over all of this, but people are not doing this, okay? People are mostly 1/3 ranging, okay? They're going to 1/3 range on the king 5-4 two-tone as the small blind. Why? Because it's simple. You don't lose that much EV in theory, which of course doesn't have anything to do with node locking. This is how we're going to maximally exploit these people that 1/3 range everywhere. But, you know, it's a simplified version. You know, if the person that you're playing against hasn't studied the spot, they're not going to be able to exploit you too much, okay? But we're going to be the people that do exploit them too much, okay? So let's check something out, okay? So let's say I use this 1/3 range strategy, okay? So what do we notice from the button? So we're the button here. So we're folding 23.2% of the time, and we have a small raising range, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to node lock the small blind to 1/3 range. Now let's look at the button. Remember, they folded 23%, okay? And they had like a 6 to 7% raising range. Let's see what happens. Now we have around a 17% folding range, sorry. And we never raise. We never raise now. We only call or fold. Okay, so that's the first deviation. Okay, the first deviation is we're folding less and we're never raising. Okay, so this is node lock. I just got GTO Elite, so I'm having fun with this node lock stuff. Okay, so also I want to check out the MDA for this because I want to show you how we know that they over c-bet. So here, this is field as 2-bet pot out of position pre-flop raiser. GTO is 60 to 70, and we see 73, right? So they're going to be over c-betting in every board, on every board, okay? So on this king 5-4 board, they're mostly going to be, most of your villains will be 1/3 raging, okay? So remember, we always either call or fold and never raise, all right? So that's the first point. That's the first point. Okay, now the turn is where we have some fun, okay? So this is a real hand I played too, by the way, but I'm going to show you the hand afterwards. So here I have, I'm going to tip my hand a bit. So here I have ace of hearts, jack of spades, okay? So in game, he actually went bet 50, but that's not the point. The point is the concept, okay? The point is the concept. So we're going to give ourselves ace of hearts, jack of spades, and the turn is a deuce of spades, okay? So I'm going to do this, and we'll put deuce of spades in the non-node lock version, and we're going to see, let's say he bets 75, okay? Now what does button do against a bet 75 in the GTO line? Well, the GTO line folds around 39%, and it jams around 15 to 16%, okay? But you have to understand how small blind is constructing their turn barreling range, okay? They are non-geometric. What does that mean? That means a lot of their range does not want to be all in by the river. See, they're betting hands like 8s, 9s, 10s, jacks, queens. Think about how your game is. Are you betting 9s on the turn after you 1/3 range flop? No, you're not. What you are betting is your ace-x suited because you picked up a gut shot. You're also betting all your flush draws, right? We know this is true because of population. Well, let's check MDA. We know this is true because we see in bet 30, they over barrel, okay? They over barrel, right? They also over fold a bit, okay? So when they bet 30 on the flop, they over barrel on the turn. Okay, this is a fact. All right, so here, let's go to the node locked version. All right, here, what I did was I said, okay, I don't think my opponents are betting hands like 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s, jacks, queens on the turn, okay? I think what they're doing is playing a geometric strategy. That means they're using the 33, 67, 67 strategy to be all in by the river, okay? This is a very common sizing structure, okay? So 33 on the flop, 2/3 on the turn, 2/3 on the river, and you get all in geometric sizing. The problem with geometric sizing is a lot of our range does not want to do this, okay? So the average villain is not going to know this spot well enough to know that you should be betting jacks and 10s and 9s and 8s at some frequency, right? So what they're going to do is they're going to barrel, one, their flush draws. They're going to barrel their queen 10 of hearts, their queen 9 of hearts, okay? They're also going to barrel their strong kings, okay, and their aces and their ace king. They're also going to barrel a hand like ace 7, okay? They picked up equity on the turn, and they want to get villain off his hand, okay? But now, once we node lock small blind to these tendencies, what happens from button? Okay, so we realized here, what does button do? If my opponent bets 75, we have a folding range of 39 and an all-in range of around 15 to 16. Okay, now here, if we do the geometric 33, 67, watch what button does now. Button jams 7s, 8s, 9s. Okay? So, in game, what did I do? In game, look, this is actually a mistake with these parameters, but wait, something else happens. Okay, I'm not done yet. So in game, I know that they overbarrel turn, and I jam, and he folds and shows an ace. Okay, so very likely a hand like ace queen or ace 10. Okay, so here we realize ace jack is actually not a jam, but wait. If I jam, small blind is supposed to call with ace queen suited, ace queen of spades, ace queen off as mixed. Do you think our opponents are going to call a turn jam with ace queen of spades? Absolutely not, okay? They're snap folding that hand. Okay, so what we do is we go here and we go to the node lock, and what we do is we go set strategy, we go to 100, okay? So what we're going to do here is we're going to have only the flush draw call, okay? We're going to have only the flush draw call. So I go here, I have only the flush draw call, and then we're going to rerun it, okay? So only the flush draw calling, but I have all ace queen off, the rest of the ace queen off folding, okay? So now I node lock. Now instead of jamming 46%, look what button does. Now button is jamming 68%, okay? And ace jack is a massive, massive jam, okay? So ace jack, it's actually a huge, huge mistake not to jam 10 to 11 big blinds if my assumptions are correct, okay? So what you want to be doing is you want to be using MDA on the flop and on the turn, and then you node lock to maximally exploit your opponents because they're not calling with hands like ace queen. They're not barreling hands like queens, jacks, 10s, 9s. These are not barreled, right? In the original solve, all these hands are mixed. See? All these hands are mixed. What they're doing is they're betting two polar. How do you beat a polarized range? Well, what I do is I jam my merged hands. I jam my 9s, 8s, and 7s, and I jam my ace jack, okay? So since I'm blocking ace king and aces, I jam ace jack to get him to fold ace queen, and I jam my merged hands. Okay, so this is a maximally exploitative strategy. So in game we know this. On the turn when he bets, I always jam and he folds. Okay, so this is one way you can use MDA on the flop, because on the flop, remember, on the flop we don't have a raising range now, but we have a very, very high calling frequency. On the turn, if our assumptions are correct, we always jam with a lot of our range. Okay, and you almost never fold. So this is one way you can use MDA and node locking to maximally exploit your opponents, especially when they use geometric sizing in a non-geometric spot. That is the whole point. They're not constructing ranges correctly. Okay, they're not betting their 9s, 8s, 7s, queens, jacks, 10s at any frequency. They're playing too polar. How do we beat a polar strategy? We jam merged hands. All right, guys. Well, this was a cool hand. Thanks for checking it out. Please subscribe. More node locking in the future for sure. Very fun. And I will also add my own hands and the MDA to back up everything I'm saying. All right, guys. Thanks for checking out the video, and I will see you in the next one.